Brock Purdy, as you know, is the starting quarterback in San Francisco, but it was made official yesterday that Sam Darnold is the backup quarterback and Trey Lance is now the emergency third-string quarterback. Here's the thing I'm trying to figure out. Why do I care? Why is Trey Lance being the third-string quarterback something that I want to spend time talking about? I'm never going to see him play. He's never going to be on the sideline in a uniform. He's never going to get into a game. I'm not a San Francisco 49er fan.
Obviously.
And the guy got beat out by a journeyman quarterback in Sam Darnold. Maybe, just maybe, the reality of Trey Lance, and I'm sorry to say it, is that he's not very good.
Well, I think it's two things. One is how they acquired Trey Lance. They went in 2021, they went from the 12th spot to the third spot.
Yeah, you see it right there.
And ultimately, when you get drafted that high, and let's be honest, they treated him like he was like a secret weapon.
That's right.
Like they thought he was like, man, this is the guy. They chose him over Mac Jones. There was a situation where like, man, he's going to be the future and the face of this franchise, and he's been nothing of the such. And so I feel bad for him because he's been dealing with the injury bug, the finger, and now the broken ankle, and now
but the NFL, listen,
that's the NFL.
You guys experienced this. You guys lived it, right? If you can play, they find a spot for you. If you can't play, they don't. Period. Stop.
Yeah, and so for me, that's why when I listen to Kyle Shanahan and he says we haven't given up on Trey. Yes, you have.
Of course, you have.
Give it up when you got Sam Darnold.
We had a first-round draft pick in Green Bay. You probably won't remember his name. Justin Harrell.
Oh, okay.
First-round draft pick. They gave up on him. We all identified he can't play. He can't cut it. You give up on those type of guys. When you see a guy every single day, and my only issue with them giving up on him is because they knew he was going to be a project. They knew he was going to be a developmental project that they acquire, like you said. And for me, a guy that you know since 2018 has only thrown 420 pass attempts. Right. He already has the least amount of experience on that roster. So to expect for him to emerge after not being exposed in games, only playing 4 games, being injured, he couldn't see the field. He's working against.
And now all the criticism comes out now through rumors and innuendo. And one of the things that I was told from people in the organization are that they didn't realize how little football IQ the kid has.
How did you not know? Like, do some research. And on top of that, I think what really shocked them is they didn't expect the 7th round there and Brock Purdy to be that guy.
That's also fair. That's right.
That's what's like, man, this kid is better than what we anticipated.
And by the way, if you guys put back up on the screen, I guess this is why we're talking about it. You know what San Francisco gave up to get Trey Lance and move up? Go down. See right there? That 12th pick? Micah Parsons.
The dominator.
Right. So, not a big deal. Only the best.
But it wasn't also they had Nick Bosa. Fair, right?
Yeah. But could you imagine those bookends?
Oh, the bookends. Yeah, but I'm like, at the time, the need was quarterback. So I'm okay with it.
They traded up to get Trey Lance. They could have had Micah Parsons.
I mean,
that's like when the New York Jets said, we'll take Kenny O'Brien over Dan Marino.
And the reason why it matters is because
a lot of people made the Steelers made that mistake.
At that 12th pick, you're not going necessarily need. You may end up choosing best available player. And if Micah Parsons would have been there, you take.
Now, let me just show that one more time, guys, if you can.
Absolutely.
Because it's 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, the 2022 third-round pick. You could now actually make the argument that that's the worst trade in the history of the NFL. So I've got 4 others to compare it to real quick. All right, that trade, or how about the obvious one, when the Minnesota Vikings traded with the Dallas Cowboys for Herschel Walker. And the Cowboys got 1, 2, 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, a third-round pick, a 6th-round pick. Oh, and by the way, 5 active players off the Viking roster. That's got to be the worst trade.
It's hard to top that.
Yeah.
I got 3 other ones. How about when your Denver Broncos, team that you're very high on, traded 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick, and 3 active players for a guy named Russell Wilson. How about that trade, Greg?
Listen, I'm not giving up on Russ. This is going to be a new year for him, man. I'm not giving up on him. Sean Payton's there for a reason. Yeah. He's going to clean him up. He's going to make him nice for, the owner's crush.
If I may, because perhaps you didn't hear so good. 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick, and 3 active players for Russell Wilson.
Well, we're going off a bad year, obviously, but prior to that, in Valley, he was a little bit on the decline before he got to Denver, but I think he's going to be better. I'm not giving up on Russ just like I'm not giving up on Yankees, and I still, there's still hope. You got to keep hope, Carton.
I have hope's alive in my heart. That's a horrendous trade. I don't care how you slice it. I'll give you one more. Saints trading up for Ricky Williams on draft day back in 1999.
The wedding dress, right?
The wedding dress draft, that's right. Washington got every pick the Saints had, plus a 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round pick the very next year.
Well, that's why Dickie got fired. Right? It was like you got to stay off Bourbon Street.
Yeah, I
with
don't
that
know
trade.
what they were thinking.
Atrocious.
And then 2017, you guys may remember, when the Chicago Bears traded up to get Mitchell Trubisky. They traded a 1st-round pick. They traded 2 3rd-round picks. They traded a 4th-round pick. And oh, by the way, after taking Mitchell Trubisky 2nd, 8 picks later, the Kansas City Chiefs took Patrick Mahomes.
Like that right there.
That's when you set the stadium on fire. Obviously nobody wants to
The
work.
evaluation there, I will never have that individual in our organization ever again.
You might make the argument of all those bad trades and the San Francisco one for Trey Lance, because Chicago did take a quarterback and did not take the generational star in Patrick Mahomes. That's the worst trade.
And they've never had one. And you had the opportunity to get that guy.
Is Mitch in the league?
Yeah.
He's a backup quarterback.
Still.
Okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, could have had Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes.
That's hard to swallow. Stayed out of Holiday Inn last.
By the way, speaking of Patrick Mahomes, let's go to Kansas City real quick. Andy Reid was asked about Chris Jones. To be fair to Andy Reid there, I know people making a big deal about the fact that he has not had any communication with Chris Jones. That is actually the norm.
Yes.
Head coach coaches the guys that are there. Sure, he loves Chris Jones. I'm sure they have a relationship that goes far beyond the football field. It's the general manager that needs to be communicating with Chris Jones and his reps, not the head coach.
You're absolutely right there. Brett Veach, he's probably been in communication, which he has, but when you're a head coach, you got to focus on the guys that you do have in the building that you're going to be taking the field with week in and week out. Right now, this is a big deal. I don't care how you slice it. You say come in and practice and you'll get paid. I've even come over with you and I say hold in. Don't hold out. Hold in.
Right.
Don't touch that field.
Show up, hurt a hamstring.
Don't touch that.
Don't get fined. Right.
Yeah, I hear you. For me, this is where it gets a little sticky because I sat here yesterday and said, listen, big fella, if you're going to sit out, just stay in shape, because we all know gym shape is different from on the field shape. That's one. 2, I look at the schedule and I'm saying, this is where it can be a problem. Chris Jones makes his money in the 4th quarter, right? And one thing about the schedule you can see, I'm going to call out the pocket passes. Jared Goff loves the pocket, can deliver the football. So does Kirk Cousins. So does Justin Herbert. When they start losing games because the pocket passes are tearing them up and they're not getting any pressure, this is how they're going to miss Chris Jones. This is for Chris Jones' 4th quarter sacks. He's ranked 1 in sacks, 7.5. Quarterback hits in the 4th quarter, 14. Tackles for losses, 10, and pressures, 24. In the 4th quarter, this is where he makes his money. This is where he's an impact player. This is why he means so much to the Kansas City Chiefs, because he closes games. This is what great defenders do and great defenses do. When it's time to go get the pass rusher and a guy who's immobile, you send Chris Jones right down the pipeline and he gets the job done with pressures and sacks. So you're Andy Reid, and I get it. I love cheeseburgers too, but you may want to put down one and pick up the phone and say, hey, big fella, we need you back.
Yeah.
Sooner than later.
But the team's got to be willing to write the check.
Exactly.
Andy Reid could say, I want you back on the field. Chris Jones is going to say, I want to be on the field, but you got to pay me.
It's cute, but my point is, I understand Patrick Mahomes is the ultimate security blanket. The offensive line is going to keep him upright. I said that yesterday. But right now, looking at Chris Jones and looking at his tape, not only is he great from the tackle position, defensive end position, what he does well, he rallies his troops. Guys like Mike Daner, guys like George, his last name I messed up, but the big rookie stud out of Purdue. When those guys are able to get one-on-ones, now the cavalry gets to eat because he demands a double team. So Chris Jones, they need him.
The one way to get Chris Jones there really fast is to lose in 2 weeks from tonight to the Detroit Lions, and Jared Goff tears you up.
Which is on the table, by the way.
Hey there. Thank you so much for watching The Carton Show. You can subscribe right here to get all the latest bits and segments from the show. And by the way, while you're at it, we have a lot of great shows on FS1, so check them out too.